Lovely to be here. You don't hear that very often in Stockton, do you? What an amazing... I was in Doncaster a couple of days ago. I thought it can't get worse than this, but... what, I mean, I saw it, I was in WH Smith's just now, and there was a man with a parrot on his shoulder. You know him, don't you? Fucking hell. Right, it's great to be here. Back to the land of my forefathers. I mean, it's almost Middlesbrough, isn't it? It's almost, okay, almost. Good, it's lovely to be back. Welcome to the show. It's a show about testicular cancer, if you didn't know. It is a comedy. Cancer isn't really funny, but testicles are really funny, so we're going to have a good time. Don't worry. So, I always had trouble keeping double acts together. Back in January 2020, I thought, this is going to be my year. I knew I was doing Taskmaster. It was a secret at that stage, but I'd already done a few of the tasks. I had a gig booked in April at the O2 Arena in London. It was in the bar, but it still counts. Then something came along that kind of wrecked that. Not just for me, I have to say, but my manager said I should get into more kind of crowd-pleasing, Peter Kay sort of nostalgia comedy. Who remembers COVID? Hey, that guy remembers the masks. What was that all about? Did you have the vaccine? What were we thinking? So I remember thinking, as the first lockdown started, this would be a terrible time to get cancer. Never thinking it would happen to me. And look, there was positives about a lockdown. There are lots of negatives, obviously. But I've got to spend more time with my young family. I've left it late to have kids. At the start of lockdown, my daughter Phoebe was 5, my son only 2.5. It was great to spend a bit more time with them. I thought before I became dad I'd be a pretty brilliant dad. I sort of assumed that, at least to begin with, your children would just love you unconditionally, just adore you unconditionally. I was wrong about that. My daughter, like all women that I love, saw through me pretty quickly and treated me with nothing but disdain from about 11 months of age. She was just very sarcastic to me. And when she was 4, she started calling me Richard. Knowing full well it was a ridiculous name. Imagine how delighted she is to find out now you can shorten that to Dick. My life is never-ending fun. My son's the opposite. He does adore me. Lots of hugs and kisses from him. He can't get enough of me. Last year when the Super Mario Brothers film came out, I was driving the kids to school, the actors were on the radio. When I let them out of the car, I went, "It's me, Mario." My son looked at me in awe. He said, "How did you do that? You are the best dad in the world." I'd rather have the disdain, to be honest, because the come down from that is the disillusionment when he realises what a prick I am is going to be too much to cope with. But look, like most parents, I'm sure a lot of parents in here have the same. The homeschooling was absolutely horrendous. Even though my daughter was just 5, it should have been easy. Absolutely terrible. I have so much respect for teachers after this. Not so much I think we should pay them anymore, or applaud for them on the doorstep or anything, but well done. The first time I did homeschooling, my daughter, Phoebe wasn't interested. I was just saying, come on, let's just sit down. She said, I want to go on the iPad, I'm not doing this. And she just wouldn't obey me at all. Honestly, about half an hour just fighting. Finally, I said, look, you can just do anything. You just draw a picture if you want, then at least I've done my bit, you've done your bit. She went, fine. Stormed over to a table, quickly drew this. She said, that's you falling into some lava. Because I hate you. I've got the subtext, I didn't need it explained. It does look quite like me. The lava's very good, I have to say. Then she went, hold on. She went back to the desk. Honestly, in about 2 seconds, added this. That's a crocodile. So it wasn't like I was falling to my death in a pit of lava. I had to be eaten by a crocodile first. It's a brilliant crocodile. I can't really see. There it is. Look, he looks so pissed off, doesn't he? I'm not bad enough I live in a lake of lava. I've got to eat this fat prick as well. I think she understands that I communicate through humour. I found this funny, so it became a little bit of a running motif. But I think it's usually a joke, a sort of disdain for me, but not always. In January 2020, I was standing in the kitchen. She just stood there looking at me, dead-eyed, said, "You have 14 months left to live." Not a joke, and like, just so specific that, 14 months, terrifying, absolutely terrified. But the first indication I got that there was anything wrong down here was when I sat on my testicle. I'd actually done a joke about this in my last show, I Frig on 50. I said, "Oh, guys, no one tells you, but gravity takes its effect on men as well as women. When you're 50, there's a genuine chance you might sit on one of your own testicles. So what I do every time I'm sitting down, I get one go in one way, one go in the other. When they meet at the top, I know I'm safe, I'll sit down. That is the scale as well." It was an absolute lie. I'd never done that. I had the pert scrotum of a 35-year-old man. It had never happened to me, so I was being punished, I guess, by the comedy gods for my mendacity. Also, I just thought, oh God, here it comes. I'm, finally middle age is catching up with me. I didn't worry about it too much at that point. And I hadn't thought much about testicles before all this happened to me. I very much concentrated on the cock. Both professionally and personally, I have to say it was the cock that I was most interested in. I neglected the balls. Don't neglect the balls, madam. Don't neglect them. Don't neglect them, sir. They'll come for you and not in a fun way. So, and I hadn't thought much about them, and they are very much the backing singers in pop bands. That is male genitalia, aren't they? Overshadowed by the charismatic frontman. Very much like the two blokes who used to stand at the back in E17 doing that. Actually looked quite testicular when they were always together. I think they might have been Brian Harvey's testicles, those guys. I saw them apart. But testicles, it's weird because they stand for masculinity, don't they? Oh, that guy, look at the balls on that guy. Oh, he's got some balls. Grow some balls, become a man. It's weird, isn't it? Because balls, they're the most vulnerable part of any human body, and yet they're meant to represent strength. The strongest man in the world can be felled by a toddler running headfirst into them. It's absolutely pathetic. It's male fragility, and it's so transparent, guys, that, I'm going to pretend my most vulnerable part is my strongest part. Absolutely pathetic. And we don't need to make up stuff about balls. They are incredible. They're magical Genesis machines shooting out potential lives every second of the day. Every second of the day. This functioning pair of human testicles produces 1,500 sperm cells. That's 1,500 potential lives every second. It's 525 billion sperm in a human lifetime. It's 21.5 gallons of sperm. That's enough to fill half a bath. Is it just me? That seems like quite a disappointing amount for a lifetime of spunk production. But remember, with the help of a determined and fastidious friend, you can fill that bath to the rim. So do be careful if you're planning on taking a bath in a lifetime of human jizz. Don't fill it right to the top. Remember the work of Archimedes. Incredible things, testicles. Mate, if I were to slice open your scrotum right now, remove one of your testicles, transplant it into the scrotum of this gentleman, I would quickly be arrested for medical malpractice. I have no idea what I'm doing. I can't even wire a plug, I don't know why I attempted this. But if I was successful, your testicle in his scrotum would continue to produce your sperm for the rest of its lifetime. I think that's incredible, isn't it? That's amazing loyalty, isn't it? You don't get that. You don't get that in any other body part. The brain, presumably, you can't transplant that. But if a heart's transplanted, that just beats the blood of anyone who comes along. If you get a kidney transplant, the kidney goes, yeah, give me anyone's piss. I don't care. I love piss. I'm a piss whore. Just give me the piss. Testicles. Remain loyal. That's why they can't do that operation, because it was the ethical nightmare. Who would be the father of any kids? It's been carried out 3 times as possible between twin brothers, but no other body parts that loyal. It's great. I know the ladies are sitting there going, well, actually, I think you'll find the ovaries are that loyal. No, the eggs are already all in there. That's just an egg cupboard you've got there. That is not impressive in the least. Of course, most testicle owners will have noticed there is a design flaw in how they're positioned, I would say. Most of us have suffered from that. The positioning of the testicles does suggest that if there is a God, he does not love us, I would say. He could have been, a benevolent God would have created some kind of bone cup, wouldn't he, to protect them. You probably think the reason they're external is for sperm production. The sperm has to be at slightly below body temperature to function. That is a theory, but it's not true because some animals, lots of animals have internal testicles. Most birds have internal testicles. Most sea creatures have internal testicles. Because you don't really want to be swimming through the ocean with a couple of great bollocks dragging behind you, like shark bait. So it's possible to have them inside. Some scientists argue the reason we have these perilous external testicles is sort of like the peacock's tail. They're there to attract a mate. Women will look at those perilous testicles and think, how amazing is this guy? How brave is he that he walks around with these things round at his knees? I must mate with him, he's so strong. Not sure those scientists have ever met any women. Certainly not just asked them, because I don't think there's a woman in the world who is with her fella because of his testicles. I think they're with us in spite of our testicles, guys. That's how much they love us. It's like, oh my God, am I supposed to rest him? It's all right. But anyway, I'd always seen these things as a comical addition to the human body. Very much like a slightly less wrinkly version of the Chuckle Brothers. And now, for me at least. There's only one left. When you get to the end of the show, do you remember the only bit that offended you in this entire show was that Chuckle Brothers? When you get to the end, think everything I've said, oh yeah, it was only the Chuckle Brothers bit. The only I didn't like. So, as the weeks were passing, I sort of started to think that maybe my testicle was growing bigger, right? But I didn't know that was a thing. I thought if you're looking for testicular cancer, it was lumps and bumps and stuff. And I thought maybe I'm imagining it. And look, this was the height of COVID. I didn't want to bother the NHS with my weird big knacker. So I didn't want to go in. I'm a typical man. I kind of left it. I thought, oh, it'll be all right. I'm just, it's my imagination. I don't want to bother anyone. Didn't tell my wife. I did Google it. I don't know what I googled because every time subsequently I've seen something very different. I did go back to try and check my history to find what I googled that first time, but I had to clear that for some reason. I couldn't find it. Because every time I've googled it subsequently, I found something like this. Lumps and swellings in the testicles can have lots of different causes. Most are caused by something less serious, such as a build-up of fluid or swollen veins in the testicles. But sometimes they can be a sign of something serious, such as testicular cancer. Do not try to self-diagnose the cause of your lump. Always see a GP. Did I just stop reading after the first sentence? I just can't understand how I wasn't worried, but I wasn't scared about it. As a comedian as well, there's sort of a part of you, it's different than most people's lives. There's a part of you kind of wouldn't mind if something like this happened to you, right? Because you kind of think it'd be good material. I could get a show out of it. I could call it Never Mind My Bollock. That would be great. So take it to the Edinburgh Fringe, maybe finally win the big Edinburgh Prize. My kids would finally be proud of me. I mean, my show would have to be performed by a hologram of me. I'd be dead, obviously, but it would be worth it. The respect. And so many comedians, since this is happening, we've gone, you lucky bastard. But look, I left it. Like most men, please don't be like me, guys. If you have any problems, go to the doctor. Don't be an idiot. And I left it for a few weeks, didn't say anything. January 2021, it was the second lockdown, but I got acting work. I got more acting work in lockdown than I've ever had in my life. I had to go to Wales to be in this independent film, very low budget. We were staying in an out-of-bounds centre that was usually, I was sleeping in a bunk bed that 1,000 12-year-old boys had wanked in before me. It was, the central heating was broken, it was freezing cold, the wind and rain were lashing against every night I'd lie in bed sort of worrying about this, sort of feeling myself, not for the reason the previous occupants had. I mean, not to begin with, I'm only human. Just sort of worrying more and more about it. It seemed much too big, I was worried. So when I got home from that, I told my wife, she said, just ring the GP, what's wrong with you? So I rang the GP, and they saw me ridiculously quickly. I couldn't believe it, this was COVID times. A couple of days I was going down to the GP. Now, I don't know if you went to the GPs during COVID, it was a very different experience, wasn't it, to normal times. I live in a small village in Hertfordshire, and there was actually a new GP in the practice I'd never met before. Going to the doctors during COVID, it was sort of like a rubbish student sketch where the NHS had been made illegal, It's sort of very surreptitious when you ring the doorbell, the voice say, wait by the side door, you cannot come into the waiting room. You have to wait outside in the rain. Someone arrived for their prescription. It was like a drug deal, you know. They rang the doorbell, their door opened, a cracked hand came out with a tray on it there to put their money and their prescription there. Then a few minutes later, they came out with the drugs and the change. I don't know if they drug dealers give change. I'm out in the depth. Finally, the doctor came out of his door. He looked at me. He said, "Who are you?" Who am I? Did this guy not watch TV in the mid-1990s? Maybe the show was on after his bedtime and most adults didn't watch it either, but that's not the point. I said, "I'm Richard Herring." He said, "You can't be." I said, "I'm pretty sure I am." He said, "I'm expecting a 16-year-old. Quite offended by that. I think I'll get past the 16. He said, "Come in anyway, that's nice." I followed him in. He looked at his computer. He said, "Oh, yeah, sorry, I had the wrong notes up." Reassuring. He said, "There's 4 men in this small village suffering from something similar to you right now." I said, "Blimey, it's an epidemic, isn't it?" No one's going to remember COVID when this gets out. Everyone's hopping around on testicles the size of space hoppers. We were having a laugh. I wasn't taking it too seriously. I guess this thing had been preying on my mind, but I didn't think I was that worried about it. I explained what was going on. He said, "Let's have a look." It was as his gloved hand met my clammy ballsack that I realised this was the quickest I'd ever gone from meeting someone for the very first time to them cupping my genitalia. There was a girl at college who ran in pretty close, I have to say. I think she was sick out of a window shortly after. She didn't ruin it all by asking weird questions. He said, "Has there been any pain in your scrotum?" I said, No symptoms at all. "Any blood in the urine or semen?" "Not that I've noticed. I think I would have noticed that." He said, "Did your balls descend properly when you were a teenager?" I said, "I think so. How far were they meant to go?" He said, "I'm just into the scrotum." I said, "Yep, that's where they ended up. That's fine. I don't know, but maybe they're like yo-yos, I don't know." He said, "Is there any history of cancer in your family?" I said, "No." "Is that what this was?" He said, "Get your clothes back on." I got dressed. He said, "I don't want you to worry. I'm 99% certain this isn't cancer. If I was a betting man, I would say it was epididymitis." If he was a betting man, I don't think it would be appropriate, would it, for him to lay wagers on his own diagnosis? What bookmaker is taking this bet? Is there some bookies out there specialising in the minor illnesses of 1990s TV celebrities? Mr. Blobby's 4-1 to get diabetes? That's pretty good odds, put some money on that. He said, "I know you're going to be Googling epididymitis when you get home." He didn't know me at all. I know all about male genitalia. I wrote the book, I wrote the show on it. I wrote a book called Talking Cock. I looked on his shelves, it wasn't there. I can only presume he lent it out to one of the other big bollocks men of Hertfordshire. In that book, if you download the programme during the interview, you can see this as well. I tried to rename all the anatomy, sort of dry and scientific, all the male genitalia stuff, try and make it more user-friendly. The epididymis, that's the little tubules at the back of the testis. I renamed that the cat's cradle. I tried to rename the aperture at the end of the penis. When I was at school, that's quite politically incorrect name. I can't really, there might be some youngsters, I don't want to trigger them, so I can't even really say, I don't want to get cancelled and say what that was, but I decided to rename that the Herring's Eye, so that'd be nice, wouldn't it? My name would live on after my death. Every time one winked at you, you'd think of me. So anyway, he said, "Look, I know, yeah, that's fine, I know what that is." He said, "Great." He said, "Look, don't worry, we're going to send you in for a scan anyway. We don't mess around with stuff like this." Which made me wonder, what stuff do they mess around with? Well, he's got piles. Let's tell him he's got 4 days to live. Come on, listen. Cheer everyone. So I walked home, and I have to tell you, I felt really relieved. I'd been more worried about this than I thought. It had been playing on my mind for months. And I was fine. It was great. I mean, the show was off, but maybe I'd get a routine out of that. That was fine. I got home, and I was sort of embarrassed about having to go into hospital at this really difficult time for the NHS. I knew it was just a formality. It seemed a bit risky to go into hospital at the height of COVID anyway. But I thought they were dealing with more important things. But I rang up. They saw me again, stupidly quickly. Maybe another day and a half I was going in for the scan. And I got there, I got to the first reception. They asked me my name, date of birth, first line and my address, and sent me to another reception where they asked me my name, date of birth, First line of my address. I sat in the waiting room, a nurse came out, she asked me for my name, date of birth. First line of my address. And the security to get into this place was astonishing. I don't know what's going on. Why are they so worried? I can only presume there's a lot of perverts out there who like to sneak into hospitals and try and get their balls scanned because they love having gel smeared all over their genitals and have what looks like a supermarket scanner rubbed over them. I'm not going to kink shame you. If that's you fellas, that's fine. Don't waste the NHS's time with that though. They're busy. Just pop down to Sainsbury's. Someone will help you out. This very nice lady, she was very quiet. She took me through the ball fondling record was broken for the second time in a week. It was an amazing week for my testicles. She was very concerned about not embarrassing me, which I liked. She said, look, first of all, put on this gown. Then you can take down your trousers and pants. If you lie on this bed, there's a paper towel sheet here. You can put that over your genitals to hide them away. And then you can sort of lift your penis up behind the paper towel, like a modesty curtain. Everything was hidden away. It was nice. I mean, my arse and plums were on display to the world, but no one saw my penis, so I retained my dignity. What I liked best of all, there was a woman sitting in the corner of the room, watching everything, not saying a word. I don't get off on having my balls scanned, but someone watching me having my balls scanned, well, I'm into it. Presumably she is as well, that's why she's there. It's like a little reciprocal thing, isn't it? So the NHS has to make some money somehow. They can sell tickets to perverts. Come on in. So the lady with the scanner got down to work, and she was very fastidious. She was quiet. I was apologising, saying, look, I know it's a formality, I know what this is, don't mind this. She was taking a lot longer than I thought she would. But I just assumed this woman's seen a lot of testicles in her time. When she comes across a really perfect pair, she wants to examine them thoroughly, really admire the handiwork, look at them right in depth. There's like there's scrolls in the library at Herculaneum. Finally, she said to me, there is something in there. I said, yeah, epididymitis, right? She said, no, there's something else, an anomaly of some kind. The lady with the supermarket scanner had found an unexpected item in the bagging area. And, I just couldn't process that. It just didn't make sense. The doctor had been so sure that nothing was wrong. I was just thinking, what? But it was like the oxygen had been sucked out of the room. It's like, like I was in a spacecraft and I was floating off into space. It didn't make any sense. I can't remember getting back to my car. I don't remember anything. I don't remember putting my trousers on. I presume I did. They're on now, so I must have put them on at some point. I got to the car. I tried to reverse out the park space, bumped the car. I was really shaken up, but I was thinking that, the doctor was so sure, so she must have made a mistake. I got home, very much in denial. Was with my family, my wife, my 2 kids, my wife Katie, and we were just in the living room, just playing, really having fun, laughing, just like in a film before something really terrible happens. And the phone rang. It was my GP. I took it out into the hallway to take the call. Now, 2 days ago, we'd been laughing and joking. This time, he was nervous. His voice was shaking, right? It just immediately snapped me into reality. He was scared. He said, hello, you may remember you came in a couple of days ago complaining of an enlarged testicle. I said, I vaguely recall. Yeah. He said, well, I thought it was epididymitis, but we sent you into hospital for a scan anyway. He was doing the whole backstory. He's really doing like Simon Cowell. Thought, is he gonna do the old reverse? Oh, I'm sorry to have to tell you, you don't have cancer. She had her thumb on the lens. It's fine. He said, they have found something in there. Oh my gosh, it's big. 6 centimetres long. 6 centimetres? Was my testicle even 6 centimetres? Was there something in my testicle bigger than my testicle? Was my testicle a TARDIS? Had you shooting my sperm backwards and forwards in time? Was he ringing to tell me I was my own grandfather? He'd probably want to see me face to face for news like that. He said, look, we still don't know what this is. There's a number of things it could be, but you must be aware of what it might be. 3 days ago, we've been taking fantastical bets with imaginary diagnostic bookmakers about this definitely not being cancer. Now he couldn't even say the word cancer. He said, look, it's out of my hands now. We're going to hand you over to the hospital. They'll probably take you in for a biopsy, try and work out what this is. Do ring me if there's any problems. But that's all we've got for you at the moment. So he hung up. And, it was just suddenly all this denial went out the window. Everything snapped. very sharply into focus, right? I had absolute mental clarity, and I can tell you, in this moment, I wasn't thinking, oh great, the show's back on then. I was thinking, shit, I'm gonna die. I've got cancer, I've got this massive thing in my testicle, I've left this too long. If you get cancer, you die, my life is over. I completely understood in that moment what it was to be God, right? And I was sure it's going to happen to me. I just lost a really good friend of mine from university. He had the same age as me, had a kid the same age as my daughter. He had a horrible cancer and died. And in that moment, I was absolutely certain the same thing was going to happen to me. I kind of figured I had 2 months left to live. I don't know why, maybe because that would tally with what my daughter predicted. So I was not only worried I was about to die, I was worried my daughter was a witch of some kind. So, you know, I was absolutely distraught. I was so upset. And I could hear my son laughing in the room next to me. And I just thought, that little boy is going to grow up never knowing me, never knowing his dad. And I just burst into tears. It was like a waterfall. It was like my soul was a damp rag and someone had grabbed it and just squeezed it. I was just weeping spontaneously. I was crying for that little boy, for his sister, who, you know, might vaguely remember me, but as a guy she wanted to push into some lava, which she didn't. Maybe she killed me. I was crying for my wife, who'd have to bring up 2 young kids on her own to begin with. She's a very good-looking woman. She'll be like 6 months, I reckon. There'll be someone with his feet under the table, some smarmy little chancer, moustache and cowboy boots will charm his way in there. He'll be helping himself to the fine malt whiskey that stupid dead Richard Herring had been saving for a special occasion. I was crying for Tony and his son, you know, but I quickly realised these hot tears were for myself. I really didn't want to die, right? I thought there would be more time than this left, and I was absolutely certain I was going to die, and I was angry about that. I wanted more time, but I also was angry because of all that work I put into my kids, all the parenting I'd done over the last 5 years, all the bums that to wipe, all the piss in the face, the sleepless nights, clearing milky sick out of car seats. Those kids weren't even going to remember me. They'd have this new dad. Oh, they'd call him Daddy for sure, and they'd take his last name. He'd kiss them at night time with malt whiskey on his breath. I was furious about it. I was so just absolutely angry. I felt bad for being so selfish in this moment. I was going through the 5 stages of grief like a character in a wacky American film, really. It was just, and this all happened probably in 90 seconds. It was just incredible clarity. Then I just thought, right, okay, let's bargain. I'm going to bargain. Can you just give me a year? If I could just have a year, that will be enough time to get my affairs in order. It'll give me enough time to raise enough money to keep my kids going till adulthood, I guess. If I could, I was prepared to do anything to make money at that time. All my ethics, all my comedy principles out the window. I'd have advertised arm manufacturers. I was so desperate, I would have blacked up and been on Bo Selector. That is how bad it was. Then I thought, no, look, it will be better for the kids if I die straight away. If I go straight away, there's less chance of being psychologically damaged by this. Absolutely insane that you were going through all these thoughts. And then I just accepted it was over. I was dead. I'd accepted it. I knew what death was. I knew what the absence of me was going to mean. I truly understood that in that moment. And I just thought, right, I've got whatever I've got left. I've got to sort everything out. There's so many things I have to pass on to my wife. She has no idea how to load the dishwasher. She doesn't know which bin is for which thing. This is going to take some time. What passwords is she going to need to know? Which ones must she never find out? I was completely back in on it, and I'd stopped crying. Kate came out of the living room. I don't know if she even knew I'd been crying. She asked me how everything was. I said, not good. There's something in there. She said, well, do they know what it is? I said, no, but you know, it's got to be bad. I said, he couldn't even say the word. She said, which word? I said, you know which word. She said, the C word. I said, I don't think it would be appropriate for him to say the C word. These are sensitive times, professional. It's weird, isn't it, out of those 2 C words, cunt and cancer. Cunt's the more offensive one, isn't it? That's weird, isn't it? A cunt, this beautiful, life-giving, pleasure-giving, amazing thing. Oh, we mustn't say that. Cancer, the murder of half the humanity. Oh yeah, that's fine, we can say that. Let's name the sign of the zodiac after that one, just so every summer everyone just gets to remember all the people they've lost. That's fine. I'm actually Cancer myself, July 12th. So, it'd be weird, wouldn't it, if it turned out everyone who got cancer was born between June the 21st and July 20th. It was just true all along. Everyone born in August turns into a lion. If only we'd seen I said, look, if I die, I need you to promise me something. She said, you're not going to die, don't even talk about it. I said, I might die, and I need you to promise something. She said, I'm not going to countenance. I said, listen, it's really important. If I die, can you please pour all my malt whiskey down the sink? It was a weird time, okay, because we didn't want to worry the kids. We tried to keep it secret. Then we had to carry on life as normal up to an extent. I was still homeschooling. Phoebe's skills had moved on a bit. She was now working on the computer. That's me falling into lava in digital form. I was really concerned about my kids. It was kind of great in a way that had been it's obvious it would be, but that was the first thing that had upset me. That was my focus when I got this news. I wanted the kids to be as happy as possible and protected as possible, and I wanted them in the end to have memories of me. So I thought I've got limited time, I've got to make some memories. That's a kind of weird thing to try and do. But 3 days after that phone conversation, it started to snow. And I thought, amazing, brilliant. I remember all the snow days from my childhood. This is perfect. We'll go and do something. They'll definitely remember it. They'll remember me. This is absolutely perfect. Phoebe wanted to build a snowman straight away. I said, no, let's go around the village first of all, see all the snow everywhere. It was already starting to melt. I wasn't worried I'd made a mistake. Phoebe made a great big snowball. This is in a film, this, and she is. She go, look at that. I remember thinking, as this was being filmed, this is the video they'll be watching when I'm dead. And we got back to the house. The snow was starting to melt. We've only got a little lawn, and I started rolling out a snowball to make a snowman. Phoebe didn't want anything to do with my snowman. The typical independent. She started making her own little one in the corner. I was rolling the snowball around. Now look, because it was winter, I realised I hadn't cleared the cat shit off the lawn for a few days, and I realised this big snowball was actually picking up the cat shit as it went. It was actually quite effective. It was quite a good way of doing it. If you then rolled it in some fresh snow, then the cat shit was hidden away inside the snowman, giving it intestines and an idea of what it would be like to be alive. So that was good for the snowman. I was kind of happy with that. Then I thought, oh, if I build the snowman on the border off the lawn, then when it melts, all the cat shit's off the lawn. This is genius. So I was trying to get all of it. I overstretched myself. There was a big splat of dog diarrhea on the top as well. I thought I can get that. It's very different properties. That just it smeared across the ground. It looked like that snowman had had terrible accidents. Phoebe, in the meantime, put a carrot in the head of her snowman, and the head had just exploded. You don't get that in Raymond Briggs, do you? I don't think that prick had ever made a snowman in his life. So she was crying about her snowman's death. She was watching this, her memory would be of this weird fat man happily rolling cat excrement around the lawn, looking weirdly pleased with himself. That wasn't what I wanted. That wasn't the legacy I wanted. But this, I've got a picture of the snow, and this would have been my legacy. There it is. That's mainly just dirt on there. That's not all caption. And I remembered all the snow days I'd had as a kid. Had been disastrous as well. We got lost on the Mendips. I nearly got hypothermia. I'd made an igloo that collapsed on me. I nearly died. I had a snowball fight with some kids in the village who just tripped me up and just pounded snow into my face from about a foot away. It was horrible. It was a stupid idea to try and turn this into a memory. And a few days after this, look, everything moved so quickly. It's unbelievable. The NHS were amazing in this. But I was just terrified. I wanted to get this sorted out straight away. So every day felt like a lifetime. I went in next to get like a full body scan to find out if this was cancer, whether it had spread anywhere else, if I'd left it too long. A nerve-wracking thing. And I went into the hospital all the way through this, right? I never felt ill for a second, okay? I was quite a chubby guy. I looked fine. I didn't feel ill. And of course, all the way through, I was sitting in waiting rooms with people who had what seemed to be like proper cancer, like real problems. There was a guy on a gurney who could barely breathe, right? And I was sitting there. At the time, I was writing jokes for my I was sort of streaming comedy shows. And like, we all took up weird hobbies during lockdown. I'm sure you probably did almost exactly the same as me. What I took up was, I decided to become a ventriloquist in lockdown. I decided to do a topical news show every week with a 130-year-old ventriloquist dummy that my great-granddad had made. I mean, I'm sure you did practically the same thing. Here they are. This is Thomas Herring from Darlington. There he is. These are the dummies, Sally and Sally. They're not at all scary, are they? Lovely. And there's Tom. That's him in the 1950s. He made these in 1892. These dummies, so they're properly old, but they're nothing to be scared of. That's why. So I was writing these jokes. You know, what's going on? I felt like a fraud all the way through this. I have to say, it didn't feel. It doesn't even now feel like I've been even ill. So it's an odd thing, and it's a humbling thing, I think, to go through this and see people in real trouble as you're going through it. It felt like a little, you know, it felt like a thing where it was a try before you buy version of cancer. But, you know, we're going to give you a little bit of cancer, see if you like it. If you don't like it, you don't have to have it. If you like it, come back, we'll give you some more. And I didn't really like it, I have to say. So I went in for the full body scan. A very impressive futuristic machine in there. The technicians, they said, we've got to put a cannula in your arm, so we've got to put iodine into your blood, so the images will show up on the machine. I mean, that seemed like hokum to me, iodine. It felt like they were pranking me in some way. Iodine, they've got this massive machine. They said, when this iodine's in your blood, we have to warn you, you might get the sensation that you've wet yourself, but don't worry, you won't have wet yourself. It seemed like they were setting me up there, don't you think? That's clear. Well, if I had wet myself, how would they know if I'd wet myself or not? I think they just say, you won't wet yourself, so when it comes out, you go, oh, that's fine, I can let it go. I haven't done it. They probably get a fiver every time someone wets themselves. At least have a laugh. But I've done this 5 times, never felt like I've wet myself. It's bullshit. So I went into the machine. As I was going in, I noticed the machine, the CT machine, was made by Siemens. It's the same company that makes all of my washing machines, dishwasher, microwave. And if I'm going in the CT machine, I want one made by a company that only makes CT machines. Right? I don't want a jack of all trades. Well, they fuck it up and put a microwave inside there. Right? They put a washing machine part in. Instead, I go and remove red socks and come out pink. I don't want. Also, I was worried that the hospital had chosen that brand for the same reason I had, because it's a funny name. Pathetic hospital administrator, how charged. So as I was going in, it was weird, it was pristine, but I looked above me, there was this massive dent in this machine right above my eye line. Just thought, what the fuck happened to the last machine? Am I going to be turned into a pie? Absolutely terrifying. Russell had told me he had an MRI scan and there were scratch marks on the ceiling of the tube. It's not what you need to see. But it was all fine, I've got out. Went and did my puppet show, it was okay. Had to wait another week again, it felt like a lifetime. I was just worried this thing was growing right all the time, but I left it this long, it'd already got this big. How big was it by now? I just wanted the thing out of me. And there was a different doctor to give me the results. She did a bit of small talk for us, so she didn't beat the bollock fondling record this time. And to be fair, she did feel my bollocks, but it was very much a pity feel. I have to say, it was an unnecessary feel. She had seen the results. But I think she just felt like, I can't just tell him the results without at least going through the motions and pretending, oh yeah, that's fine, I've had it. She had to have a look. I think she might just be a person who got off on feeling diseased testicles. If so, she's chosen the right job, so that's good. She sat me down. She said, look, we don't know what this is still, could be anything still, but whatever's in there, it's so big, we have to get it out of you. Even if it isn't cancer, we have to remove it. I said, if you're going to remove it, it better bloody be cancer. I don't want you getting out and going, oh yeah, sorry, you had a cold. My bad. It was weird to be going for cancer. But I think she expected me to be more upset, but I'd accepted that this had to go. I just wanted to live, right, by this stage. I wasn't bothered about anything else. I wanted to survive this. If they'd said, we've got to take the whole lot off, I would have been upset, but I would have taken it because I just wanted to live. So I wasn't upset with the idea, really, beyond... I was a little bit upset about it, but I wasn't properly upset about the idea of losing this. I wanted this murderous thing out of me. She said, you must have questions, have you got any questions? What I really wanted to ask was, can I have it back? Once you finish with it, tested it, it's mine. I'd like to put it under the pillow for the testicle fairy. If you get a quid a tooth, I mean, you're going to get some serious money for a testicle, right? Also, I was about to appear on the Champion of Champions edition of Taskmaster. You probably know this show. The first round, everyone brings in a prize that you can win. I think that'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? I've always said I'd give my right bollock to win Taskmaster. But I didn't. I didn't do any funny stuff throughout all of this. I took it very seriously. It didn't feel appropriate. I'm joking about it now, but I didn't joke about it to the professionals. My friend, who I subsequently found out had testicular cancer, a lot of people have this and don't say anything. He said when he got to that point, he asked, a brilliant question, I think this, how long will it take to grow back? It's perfect, right? Because she can't laugh. You might mean it. I'm going to break it, dude. So she said, right, we're going to make a couple of decisions pretty quickly. First of all, do you want to store some sperm? There's a chance you might become infertile, you might have to have some chemotherapy, it might make you infertile if you want to have any more kids. We might need to store some sperm pretty immediately. Now, look, at this point I was in my mid-50s, I had 2 children, I'd just got them through the really difficult first few years, and my wife had started making little comments about having a 3rd one. So I was really thinking, is there any way we can ensure that I won't have any more kids? A couple of snips in there while you're down there. So it was a no for that one to me. Then she said, you have to decide, do you want a prosthetic put in? You can have a false testicle put in there to replace the one that's gone, to give yourself the appearance of a 2-balled man. I didn't want it. I knew I didn't want to have that. No shade on you if you had to make this decision and you chose to have it, but who is that for? Right? Because I know I've only got 1 testicle. Right? I'm not going to look down and go, oh look, I've got it grown back. I'm fine, it's good, it did grow back. I was always going to know I've only got 1, and I'm in my mid-50s, so it is quite different. I think the number of people who are going to see my testicles from now to the end of my life is 2. It's my wife, and whoever washes my corpse when I'm dead. Those are the... I'm not bothered about them seeing. And I have to say, if my wife hadn't known I was going through all of this, I'm not entirely sure she would have noticed. Not because she's never down there. It's just if you're down there, madam, and you find one, you work with that one, don't you? You're not worried about where the other one. Just work with what you've got. Even when you're in your own, mate, sometimes one of them goes missing, doesn't he? He'll find his way back. It must be around here somewhere. Look, unfortunately, testicular cancer hits young men usually, teenagers and men in their early 20s. And look, I think for self-esteem, I can understand why in the changing rooms at school, and if you're dating, you might want to just for your self-confidence to have the appearance of having everything down there. But if you're dating, and you've got to the point where your date is counting your testicles, I'd say that date's going pretty well, wouldn't you? I think that's a home run. I think you're okay. I don't think anyone's going to go, oh, sorry, I've just realised your scrotum's half empty. Or is it half full? Good way to find out if you're dating an optimist or a pessimist. It is. I'm not going to be dating anytime soon, and so I'm not worried about that at all. And I don't think anyone should be. I guess, look, when you're in your 50s, the only time anyone you don't know is going to see your testicles is when you're in the gym. Right, changing rooms at the gym, okay? But fellas, when you're in the gym, there's a kind of unspoken rule that we all live by, isn't it? That you don't stare at each other's genitals. That's just a little rule that we have. And I think if anyone did happen to glance down and see my junk, I would hope they would be beguiled by my beautiful penis. Then they'd go, oh, hold on, let's have a look. How many testicles has he got under there? So it's, and I don't think I should be getting a prosthetic put in there for the benefit of a pervert in my changing room to my gym. I'm not going to do it just for him. He shouldn't be judging me. He's the one who should be being judged by an actual judge. I get it. I understand what this is really about. This is this masculinity thing again, right? Men want to have the appearance of having 2 testicles in there because having balls signifies masculinity. If you've only got 1 ball, you're half a man. I don't think that's true, though, is it? I mean, having 1 testicle doesn't make you half a man any more than having 10 testicles would make you 5 times a man. Though I am tempted to spread that as a rumour, because I know there's some macho guys out there who go, what, looking for a stock of things in there, get them in. You're going around like a maraca. Being a man, I don't know how you would define what a man is. There's lots of conservatives who seem very clear about defining what being a man and being a woman is. To me, I identify as a man, but it's a vast swathe of humanity very different in appearance and outlook and ideas, but I think I'm one of them. Technically I'm a man, that's what I think. But if you think about it, it ranges from someone like Richard Osman right down to wee Jimmy Cranky. I mean, it's insane, the variety. The variety in that vast swathe of humanity. Most people who are men will have similar genitalia to what I had then, only smaller. Some will have some bits missing, some will have some extra bits, some men have more than 2 balls, it doesn't make them not a man, some will have no genitals at all, and just the feeling that they're a man. I think if they take off all my junk, I would still feel that I'm a man inside, because I don't think that's something that comes from your genitals, it's something that comes from inside of you, and I don't think balls represent, I don't know what being a man is, but it's not about how many balls you have, I can tell you that right now. Anyway, I want to be proud of what I was. I was going to be a monoball. I was going to be uniball. I was going to be a womble. I was going to join that proud association of fine men with 1 testicle, who includes Adolf Hitler, Mao Zedong, General Franco, Lance Armstrong, the cheating cyclist, Nigel Farage, he's only got 1, I don't know if you know that, Tom Green, the awful comedian, Graham Linehan, alleged shoplifter Bobby Moore. Is this some kind of punishment for being evil? There must be some good one ball. I can't think of a single good one ball man. But anyway, I was going to be one of them and I was going to be pleased with that. I said, I don't want the prosthetic. She seemed perturbed. She said, you can change your mind, you can have one put in later. I said, I'm not going to change my mind, I'm sure about this. She said, anyway, you'll probably be okay. You've actually got quite a thick scrotum, so people might not notice. That woman's seen a lot of scrotums. Mine is unusually thick. It's thick enough to fool a locker room pervert. I'm thinking I've got 2 balls in my bowling bag. So look, I was happy with all this. I was ready to go, and I was ready to have the operation. Still a week or so away. It all happened in a month, this whole thing, but again, it felt like forever. The next day, it had just been my daughter's 6th birthday. She'd got given a kite, and it was a really windy, horrible, cold, windy day the next day. I said, let's take that kite up to the wreck, let's see if we can get it flying. And I'd never really flown a kite before. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was a bit worried I was going to mess it up. The kite came in 2 bits, the kite and the string, but there were no instructions, okay? And you might think, well, it's pretty obvious, but it didn't tell where the best place to put the string was. We gave it a few goes to put it in. It didn't go very well. It looked like this was going to be another disaster. And then me and Phoebe went out. I found the right place to put it. We went out into the field. Honestly, it was freezing cold, biting wind. It against this electric grey sky. And I threw the kite up. Phoebe had the string, and she just was amazing at it. She just got it straight away. She was letting the string out, it was going higher and higher. Occasionally it would dive, but she'd usually rescue it, get it flying again. If it didn't, I'd get it back, throw it in the air, we'd be off again. It just looked magic. She was like this tiny wizard controlling the weather, this little scrap of colour against this terrible, buffeting, grey sky. It's absolutely freezing. But we got it. I had a go. I wasn't good at it at all. Phoebe said the wind loves me and it hates you. But I didn't mind. I was happy to be a sidekick in this adventure because we absolutely had the time of our lives. For 30, 45 minutes we were out there making this thing work, working together. Our souls were bonding, fighting against the elements, discovering that the world doesn't have feelings for you. It'll buffet and attack you. But sometimes you can turn its unruly anger on itself and, if only temporarily, control your destiny. It was amazing, I just thought, she's going to remember this. This is a memory. This is who I am, the kite guy, not the catching son. This is remember. I think she'll remember this, so that's good. So the week passed and we were ready to go in. I hadn't spoken about this publicly yet, and me and Katie were discussing whether I would. It seemed pretty obvious that I had to me, because I've always been so open about stuff like this, but she was saying once this is out, it's out. I mean, the news rather than the testicle, both, and it's true. You have to think about whether, you can't put the genie back in the bowl. But I felt like I had to talk about it. Also, I've been doing this puppet show for a few weeks, and it was sort of obvious something was going on. The puppets had started asking what happens to us if you die. It was hard hard to hide it. So on the morning of the operation, I did tweet about it. I said what was going on, and I'm really glad I did. I thought it'd be good for other people for me to share this, but actually, the stuff I got back was much more useful. Lots of jokes, obviously, which helped. I found that humour's a great way to cope with something as horrible and frightening as this, I think. You don't have to use jokes, but that really worked for me, and I think when you're confronted with something that you can't control, humour's the only way to get through it. But also I got people tweeting me saying, hey, I went through that 30 years ago and I'm fine, you're going to be okay. It was actually great to open that conversation. Men are very bad at talking about this stuff, but we should talk about it more because our vulnerabilities aren't weaknesses, they're strengths, so we should talk about them. Kate took me into the hospital. She wasn't allowed to come in because of COVID restrictions. I told her it was going to happen in the day. I told her to drive home and come and pick me up, and I'd text her when it was time to get picked up. And but she stayed in the car park the whole day, right? So she just waited in the car park the whole day. I'm going to discuss what happened in the operation, as I have to give this warning. This show about testicular cancer includes testicular peril. I've just added that because in the previews of this show, 8 men fainted shortly after this discussion. It's not that bad, but for some reason, this really gets to guys. So, if you feel you might be the kind of person who doesn't want to hear about how a testicle is removed, it's nearly break time. You can leave. We won't judge you very harshly if you go out. I mean, it must be awful, guys, to hear about a man losing a testicle, and I understand how upsetting that would be. I've actually lost a fucking testicle, bro. Got some fucking balls. It's not that bad, so let's see. If you see anyone fainting, do just tweet me and let me know, because they don't out themselves. I want to add to the tally, see how many I can take out. The first guy, we called an ambulance because we thought he was dying. But then it's like they're being hypnotised. It's like this. Watch out. It's not that bad. So look, I went in. I was worried about a lot of things, okay? Going in, I was worried about dying on the operating table, obviously. That's the kind of guy I am. I was worried about waking up halfway through the operation. That would be bad. I was mainly worried about them taking the wrong one off, okay, which would have been difficult because one was the size of an egg and one was the size of a Ferrero Rocher, but you don't know. Even I was getting confused. I knew it was my right testicle, but was that my right or their right? I didn't know, so they got upset as well. The way they dealt with this, was someone came in and drew an arrow on my arm pointing at my right hand to indicate my right testicle. I could see a drawback with that system. I don't know if why have I got my hand removed? That's. I don't know if they keep the hand removers and ball removers on different floors of the hospital, but that seems. What I would have liked is an arrow pointing at my testicle there. This one. This is the one. What I'd have liked is a bucket of paint. I dip the one in that's coming off. Paint some spots on it. So the surgeon came in to tell me how the operation would work. Okay. They don't just open your scrotum up, that wouldn't work. He said, what we do is we cut an opening in your stomach, okay, and then we'll gently squeeze your testicle up through your abdomen and then pop it out through the hole like a blackhead. So that's how it comes out. The anaesthetist then came in to ask me if I wanted a local or general anaesthetic. Which I think might be the stupidest question I've been asked in my life. But presumably there are some guys out there going, oh what, can I be awake to see myself semi-castrated? This is fantastic news. I'm always stripped of this. I really want to see my little testicles squeezed out of my stomach like a meerkat. That'll be great. I want to smell the cauterizing of the flesh. Once we're done, can I kick it in the bin for you? I chose general anaesthetic. You can choose what you like, so that's what I chose, general anaesthetic. And I went in for the operation. And I wanted to be a funny guy again. I was prepared to go, I would give my right bollock not to go through this operation, had it all planned. When it came to it, ironically, I didn't have the balls. I was too nervous. My friend Tony, who I told you about, his cancer was really awful. It eventually spread to his eye. He had to have his eye removed, which is way worse than this. And when the surgeon was showing him the kind of pretty medieval instrument they use, like a sort of nutcracker thing to take that, to do that operation, Tony said, you want to be careful with that, you'll have someone's eye out. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be that witty, but I was too scared. And I had the anaesthetic, which was terrific. I've never had anaesthetic before. I just was out, I was gone. It was so peaceful, I just drifted away. And look, if they hadn't turned me back on again, it wouldn't have been an issue for me. It really made me less scared of dying. It felt like death was just a little, you drift away, you're peaceful, if you're gone, you're gone. There was no soul sitting in the corner waiting to see if I lived or died. In that sleep of death, I'm sorry, Hamlet, the cinema of dreams was entirely closed. There was nothing, and then there was something. But if there hadn't been something, it wouldn't have been a problem for me. So don't be scared of dying, is what I'd say. I mean, I was on a lot of morphine, that might have been part of it. But to find out if I survived the operation, you are going to have to come back for the second half of the show. It's a little bit of jeopardy. Keep it interesting for you. Look, there's a free program for this show. It's a 16-page program you can download on your phone. Just put your phone that symbol when it comes up, and you can download the program. And if you want to make a donation to Movember, there's some pots around, there's some buckets around, and also there's an online version to do that. We don't think you have to, but do please take the program, put a bit of work into it. And I'll see you in about 20 minutes. Thank you very much. It's a good comedy microphone, this. That's just a little bit too tight to get the flex out. You know, they make a decision when you come to a place that decide if you're a prick or not, and then they just set little traps. You are little traps. Just to make you look like a fool. I survived the operation. There's no guarantee I survived to the end of the show, though. I can't promise you that. So there's still some jeopardy. Look, it's lovely to be here. Thank you for choosing to come and see this rather than take that. If it was a choice, maybe you just couldn't get tickets to take that. Everyone at our hotel is going to see Take That. So when I got to the reception said, "Are you here for the big concert?" I thought, words got round. Anyway, it's lovely to be here. Look, before I should say, I will be in the foyer. I just realised I don't know where it is. I think I'm going out the door at the end of the show. If you want to say hello or do selfies, I'm happy to sign your dick, mate, if you like. I've got quite a long name, so it might just be initials for you, but I'm selling some stuff, so I'll quickly tell you about that. There's a book of this show called Can I Have My Ball Back as well. It came out first. In fact, there's loads more information about testicles, lots more about what I went through. It's a perfect gift for anyone who likes testicles or has testicles, and it could save their life, so do buy it for your friends. There's also a couple other books. The Problem with Men, which we're going to talk about in a sec, is on International Women's Day. Men on Twitter would always ask, when's International Men's Day? And for a few years, I would tell them when it was, November the 19th. It's a book about that and male toxicity. And also, if you like my podcast, you can pretend to be in RHLSTP. By buying the Emergency Questions book with 500 questions you can get conversation started with, which is lots of fun. Also, some DVDs of my previous show, Lord of the Answer Tea and Happy Now. DVDs, have you got those in Stockton yet, DVDs? VHS. Betamax, still Betamax here. They're amazing new technology, and a couple of my other shows you can get downloads at gofasterstrike.com. That's Katie, you can see she's a very attractive woman, and that's Phoebe there before she turned against me. I can find out all about that. Also on DVD, it's Fist of Fun, both series of Fist of Fun. DVD set. I don't think I'm legally allowed to sell that anymore, we don't have the rights. There's a box of them in my garage, I'm going to keep going. So if you fancy buying that stuff from Trip, you don't have to buy anything. I've got a card machine, you can pay my cash, whichever's good for you, but you don't have to buy anything. I'm happy to say hello after the show if you want to. It was weird lying in the hospital. I was thinking, it's weird that this all happened to me, because it does feel slightly fated. It feels like my life had been working up to this moment. 20 years ago, as I said, I did a show called Talking Cock, which was like a male version of the Vagina Monologues. Now I was going to do a show called Talking Bollocks. It's sort of weird, the comedy gods were punishing me. The poster for that show the second time was me with no genitals. It's foreshadowing, isn't it? Hoping this isn't the first part of a trilogy, to be honest. I did a show called Hitler Moustache, which I grew a toothbrush moustache for comedy, because Charlie Chaplin had it first, then Hitler came along. Kind of ruined it for everyone. It's probably the worst thing he did. So I had a Hitler moustache for a whole year. Now I was going to have a Hitler bollock for a lifetime. It's weird. I did this book, Problem with Men, all about toxic masculinity. I was trying towards the end to get guys to, rather than complaining about International Women's Day, to celebrate International Men's Day, right? And in fact, men, as much as they complain about International Men's Day, they get a whole month. They get the month of November. So it's even more pathetic that they complain about International Women's Day. So in November 2020, just before I went into this operation, I did November, not knowing I had testicular cancer, not checking myself. At all, raising money for November, who do lots of work for men's mental health and men's diseases like testicular cancer. I raised 15 grand for November, that November. Of course, 4 months later they said, oh, you can have that back now. So, did pretty well. I did a short film called While You're Away, in which my character cut up all of his genitals while his wife was away with the girls. Bit on the nose, that one. So it does feel, it must feel like this is weird that this is happening to me. Is it destined for me to happen to me? When I woke up in the hospital, it was doubly weird because I was woozy, but word had got round the hospital that a famous comedian had been in theatre, and all these nurses had gathered round the bed to see me wake up. I mean, they were expecting a joke or what, I wasn't in the mood to do gags. I think they were all quite disappointed when they found out it was me. Go, who's this fucker? This wasn't worth letting someone die to come into bed. When I woke up, I was wearing a jockstrap and stockings that I definitely wasn't wearing when I went into the operation. But look, the guys in that theatre saved my life. If that, once the job's done, if they want to have a bit of fun, I'm not going to deny them. I'm not going to meet to them. They're only human. You can't leave the hospital straight away. You have to check that everything works, just in a urinary capacity. Luckily, I didn't want to see what would come out the end of it at this point. But it took me ages to wee. I had to drink a whole jug of wheat lemon drink, and I still couldn't go. Then I finally did a little bit of wee. I was allowed to leave. Kate came to pick me up. She'd been in the car park, as I say, all day. She didn't drive home, but she walked home, so I had to walk back to the car park. It was a bit inconsiderate. And she drove me home. Mate, avoided most of the bumps on the way home. And look, we hadn't told the kids what was going on, but they got to stay with their grandparents. And I think they'd begun to suspect, right? Phoebe had at least. It's difficult to hide this stuff. Obviously, we were worried. A few days before, Phoebe had asked a family friend, "Is Daddy going to die?" And she predicted it. She should know. So look, she cared a bit more than she was letting on. And when I got back to my bed, she'd left a load of presents on my pillow. She'd wrapped up a pack of her favourite crisp blue hula hoops for me. I don't really like this. I mean, technically I also paid for that, so it's not much of a gift, is it? But it was nice to know she cared underneath all the bluster. She was, she clearly did care about this, so that was good. And look, throughout all of this experience, hardly any of it was bad. And there was a lot of positives even to this bit. I got to spend the next 2 weeks in bed, okay? I got a fortnight in bed, didn't have to do any childcare. After 5 years of parenting, 6 years of parenting in fact, that was just amazing to have that 2 weeks. Little holiday. By the end of the fortnight, I was thinking, should I get the other one off, make it a month? Katie had to do everything, she was incredible during this. 3 days in, she had a real big problem with the wisdom tooth, had to have a wisdom tooth removed. I mean, any other time that would have been a couple of days in bed, but a ball trumps a tooth, man. People were sending me biscuits, flowers, I was having a great time. It wasn't too bad at all. And a few days in, I went to check the damage. I went to check myself for the first time in the mirror to see what it looked like. And I did think, I have to say, when I first looked, that I'd made a bit of a mistake not having the prosthetic put in. Firstly, because I'd subsequently heard you can get Wi-Fi put in there. But also, when I looked in the mirror the first time, on one side I had the scrotum of a grown man, on the other side I looked like a 4-year-old boy. Seriously, it looked ridiculous. I tried to look on the bright side, I thought maybe I can do one of those music hall acts where you're half one thing and half the other. What situation would a grown man be talking to a 4-year-old boy with their trousers off? The workshop that. Luckily, over the next few days, Lefty realised that Righty wasn't coming back. Just stretched out to the middle of the bed. So it was fine, it worked out okay. It's a little bijou, but I've got a perfectly good scrotum there, you know, so a little more swell. It makes my penis look bigger, even bigger. So I was told to wear a jock strap for the entire time for the first week, okay, just to keep everything in place. And I took the hospital at their word. I changed it every day, obviously, to a different one, but I kept that on 24/7, and that was the biggest mistake I made, and this is the worst thing that happened to me during the whole of this experience. About a week in, I noticed I was feeling pretty sore down there. There was a quite unpleasant smell emanating from the crevices. And I've got really bad crotch rot, really bad, right, okay? It was really painful. I had to hobble, 1 week after the operation, I had to hobble up to the doctors to pick up some antifungal cream. But it was nice to be out. Look, it was great to be alive. All I wanted to happen here was to not die. And here I was, still alive, I'd survived the operation. The sun was shining on my face. I was walking slowly back, but feeling great. It was very reminiscent of Nelson Mandela's walk to freedom. Not to belittle what I've been through. I got home, but I couldn't apply this cream myself because it was right deep, right? It was right down. I couldn't see where it was. It was really painful, so I couldn't prod in there because it was too painful. So what had to happen is Katie had to come in, I put my legs over my head, and in broad daylight she had to apply cream to my stinking, pustulating, rotten flesh. It's something no partner should have to see. There's no Love Is cartoon of that. The way she touched it there makes me think she's had to do that for you as well. I didn't have to, I just chose to do it. No, She was incredible through all this. It's much worse for the partner. My poor wife, in agony with her tooth, having to look after me. Look, I let her have a couple of biscuits. I'm not a monster. So and a week in, about that same time, I got a call from the hospital with the results. They tested what they'd taken out. Different doctor. He said, you may not be surprised to hear that this was cancer. Now, by this stage, I didn't know what. They could have told me anything. If they'd said that they'd found a tiny submarine manned by Raquel Welch, I'd believe that. But it was cancer. He said, look, it's all out. That's the good news. And there's two types of testicular cancer. There's the good type and the very good type. You've got the very good type. This has a 99% survival rate in 5 years. You're almost certainly going to be okay, which was great news. The cancer was gone, brilliant survival rate. But you know what? I would have loved to have heard that piece of information 1 month before in the initial phone call. The doctor just said it might be cancer, but it is. Don't worry, it's a very curable one. That would have been terrific. And look, that's not to belittle. One man every week dies just in the UK of testicular cancer, so it's not brilliant news, but obviously if you get checked quickly and don't leave it, you've got a better chance of survival. But testicular cancer, it is the best cancer to get, madam, if you're going to get a cancer. Testicular cancer is the one to get. It's the one time fellas you're going to be glad your testicles are on the outside of your body, because that's why it doesn't spray and it's easy to get rid of. So that's good news. But look, I was actually quite pleased that I hadn't realised this wasn't the death sentence that I kind of thought it was, because I think it's quite good to be forced to confront your mortality. I'm in my mid-50s. It's not like I'm going to live forever. I sort of assumed I had 30 or 40 years to go, but it's not a bad thing to remember that life could stop at any point, right? To make the most of your life, to enjoy your life while you're here. And I think that was a positive thing, that going through this, it made me realise how much I wanted to be alive and how much I wanted some extra time. It feels like I've had extra time, even though really I haven't. I was never really probably going to die from this, but it was. And there were many, many positive things, and that is certainly one of the positives. Also, having had cancer, I found it really great as a way of getting out of stuff. I have to say, it's really, really brilliant. Like, all the time, for the last 6 or 7 years, people have emailed me every week, can you be on my podcast? But they did it now. In these few months, I can email back and go, oh, haven't you heard? I've had cancer. And then they would actually apologise to me for asking. And it was brilliant. So do get cancer, that's my advice. There's some good things about it, that's what I'm saying. So a lot of men have asked, there's obviously changes function, okay? I think that's what most men will be. I was worried about dying. I was also a little bit worried that it might not work properly anymore, or things might be different. I did a few days in, I did just check that the scaffolding would go up if necessary. And that was about as good as usual, you know, adequate. Lots of men ask, is the volume any different pre and post operation? Let's see what men want to know. Unfortunately, I forgot to do a dipstick test before. It was just in my mind. But, you know, I am in my mid-50s and half of nothing is still nothing. So it's... all I can tell you is I'm not producing more sperm than I did. So the doctor said to me, look, you've got a decision to make here. We can just leave it there, that we've got everything out for now. If we don't do anything, there's just a 1 in 4 chance the cancer may return to the other testicle. Now, 1 in 4, that's not bad, is it? But I play a lot of poker, and I know stuff that happens 1 in 4 times, that happens about 25% of the time. So that is much worse than it sounds. He said if you have 1 shot of chemotherapy, then those odds go to 1 in 20. Okay, and look, chemotherapy, like cancer, it's one of those words that if I'd heard it before, I'd have gone, cancer, that means death. Chemotherapy, that's the last chance to live. Neither thing is necessarily true, okay? You can survive cancer. Cancer treatment's getting way, way better from all cancers. And chemotherapy can sometimes be preventative. Again, this sort of fake cancer experience I've had, you know, I wasn't going to lose my hair. All that would happen, you have 1 shot of chemotherapy, you might feel a bit queasy, might feel a bit tired for a couple of weeks. I mean, it was a no-brainer for a one-baller. Obviously, I was going to do that. But before that was going to happen like a month after the operation. I had to go and do the tasks for Champion of Champions Taskmaster, okay? And they told me I wasn't allowed to do anything for a month, okay? I wasn't allowed to lift any heavy equipment or go cycling. I wasn't really planning on going cycling, I have to say, in the first month after the operation. I'd worked that one out myself. The Taskmaster thing, I was meant to do a week after the operation, okay, which was obviously too soon. They managed to bump it back as far as they could to 3 weeks, which was still too soon. But, like, really, the worst thing that could have happened in this is that it meant I ended up not doing Taskmaster. Second worst, death. I'm not joking. I'd have been devastated if I hadn't had to do this. And I really wanted to do it. So 3 weeks after the operation, I was in the car to go to the Taskmaster house. Alex Horn said he would help me with any heavy lifting, which turned out to be a lie. But again, you know, it was a very positive experience to do it, and also, I think this realisation, right, I think going through this, it's not like it had made me realise what was important. I knew straight away what was important. Obviously, my family was the most important thing, as it would be for anyone. This whole thing had made me realise what wasn't important, okay, and not to bother yourself anymore with stuff you don't want to do. And that includes, like, you know, it didn't make me think I've got to achieve great things. I just thought I've just got to have a good time and do stuff I want to do, which must mean at some point I wanted to come to Stockton Arc. I must have got a computer somewhere else. But, you know, I went into, when I'd done the series of Taskmaster, I'd been nervous about making a fool of myself. I'd been quite straight back, right? I'd done the tasks as well as I could have, not messed around. And I sort of slightly regretted that. I'd won my round, but you know, when I went back, I thought, look, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to win this, and I don't care about winning. I just want to go. I've just had cancer. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to throw myself into this stuff. It doesn't matter what happens. And I think that attitude was something that definitely had changed from before the operation to after the operation. So after that, a week later, I went for the chemotherapy. And it was locked down again, it was all socially distanced. I arrived, the nurse showed me through, she weighed me and measured my height. And she said I was 177 centimetres, right? Which sounded wrong to me, but I don't really work in metric for my height for some reason. I'm still using imperial. I know that I'm 5'7", if you're rounding up, from just under 5'6". So it's... I felt like that was something like 168 centimetres, right? But it seemed unlikely she would have got it wrong by 9 centimetres. Just reading my height off a poll, she's a professional, she couldn't have got it wrong. So I sort of sat down. I was thinking, it does sound wrong though, and you know, what if they give you the amount of chemotherapy drugs based on your weight and height, and you know, what if I didn't want to complain, I'm English, I'd rather die than confront a medical professional and criticise them. There was a part of me going, shut up, your BMI has just gone from obese to merely overweight, and you haven't got to do it. So I just said to her, are you sure it was 177? It just sounds wrong. She said, yes, I'm sure. She was quite annoyed that I'd questioned her. I was right to be cautious about that. I said, it seems like I feel like I'm 9 centimetres short than that. She said, well, you're probably wearing high heels. 3-inch heels. So I sat there for another couple of minutes, then I Googled it and I found out that 177 centimetres is 5'10". Right, unless my ball had really been dragging me down. That was definitely wrong. So I said, look, I need you to remeasure me. Reluctantly, she did it. Suddenly, I'd shrunk 9 centimetres. But for 5 glorious minutes, I'd lived the life of a man who wouldn't be rejected by 95% of women on a dating app. It was incredible. Should have got on Tinder. But look, the NHS staff were amazing through all of this. I mean, given what they were going through, everyone was so cheerful, there were jokes all the time. When I got into the chemotherapy unit, these guys really put me at my ease. There was jokes, there was laughter, they weren't taking it seriously. I didn't know what was going on, and they really kind of put me at my ease. But they were trying to get the needle into my vein. They couldn't do it. The first guy, I honestly tried about 5 times. It was like pin the tail on the donkey. It was really hurting. It's again one of the worst things to happen to me during all of this. He couldn't get it in. He called one of his mates over and said, yeah, no, there's no vein there. I'm going to have to come in through your hand, which sounded like it was a bad thing, but he couldn't even do that. Someone else came in, had a go, no luck. I thought, has Alan Sugar sent the apprentices out to set up a chemotherapy ward? I mean, that would be highly unethical to do that, but they must be desperate for ideas by now, and I would definitely watch that episode. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? You, teen wanker, you killed 6 less people than teen pricks, so you get the speedboat right on the Thames, it's going to be great. Anyway, finally the head nurse came over, got the thing in, 45 minutes I sat there. Once again, like this little journalist on the periphery of the proper cancer. Everyone else, of course, in that chemotherapy unit was in much dire states than me, like young women who were really in trouble. There was a guy sitting next to me, he clearly was an old hand at this, he'd been in loads of times, he was just an old rocker listening to music, but he'd clearly been loads of times. He was wearing a COVID mask, but just over his mouth, which is like wearing the bottom half of a condom, but I didn't think it was the time. Make that point, I let him get on with it. 45 minutes, no real side effects immediately. I felt so lucky. When I left, the staff went, we hope we never see you again. And I said, I hope I never see you again. And it was beautiful. You have to watch out, you're not allowed, you've got to be careful with your weed. And so you're basically radioactive for a few days with this chemicals inside you. So you have to wipe up your weed, because you're like the alien, it'll just melt through the floor. You have to wear a condom if you're going to have sex, because again, it's quite dangerous for your partner. I was quite interested about when I could start having sex again after the operation and after the chemotherapy, and I kept on getting different views. And all the doctors and the medical staff looked at me as like I was a bit crazy for asking this. I guess they don't get many horny cancer patients, but I was really keen to get back on the horse, which eventually, no offence to my wife, eventually I did. And I'd say one of the very positive thing about having chemotherapy during COVID, there was obviously a slight bit of jeopardy, because it was actually going to affect my immune system, right? So this wasn't the greatest time for that to happen, but it did mean I got the vaccine straight away. Okay, the day after, I went straight, and I was right to the front of the queue. I was beating off old men, and that's how I got to the front. So it was weird. It was unpleasant. I was queasy, and I had again another couple of weeks in bed. I'm not complaining about that. But all of this, my oncologist had said, look, you need to lose some weight, you need to get a bit fitter, because your metabolism is going to change because of all this. You could be liable to other stuff even if the cancer doesn't come back. So I decided to get fit. Also, because you've had cancer, you get checked up every 6 months for cancer, right? So you get this little MOT. I'm pretty sure I'm going to live longer than I would have done if I hadn't had testicular cancer. Because I decided to look after myself. I started eating a lot more healthily. I started exercising again. I went running. Any male runners out there, I have to say, if you are serious about improving your PB, do take at least one of them off. I have to say, it's, you're much more aerodynamic. 2, if you really want to get there, you don't have so much fiddling around anymore. It's a real boon, I have to say. So I got out there, got training. I had a personal trainer. I got properly fit, and I was aiming to to make the most of this year, right? I didn't want to sit back. The minute I was out of bed, I wanted to get going. I was running, obviously. I was going to enjoy my life, okay? I was glad to be alive. I wanted to spend my time with my kids and make the most of this. I was working up to Taskmaster, which we did in the September. After this, we did the studios. And, it was great just to be out there. It wasn't social distance. There was an audience. I was with these fantastic players. I knew there was no chance of winning. And I didn't care anymore about winning. In fact, I can't even remember who won it now. It didn't matter. And it was nice to win. It's when you win the first thing, you get the head of Greg. Then if you win champion of champions, you get the body. And presumably, if you do champion of champions and champions, you get the cock. That's it. It was good for a one-bald man to become champion of Taskmaster, because Taskmaster is a very alpha male competition, as I'm sure you're aware. Very macho. The previous champion of champion is Josh Widdicombe, so that's the level. So for a one-bald man to win, it was an amazing thing for my community. In fact, the next champion of champions was Dar O'Brien, who also only has one ball. I walked that he might run. He's got a one-bald man who seems pretty decent, right? He's done something, can he? There's something else coming. So I also wanted to run a half marathon the same year I'd held the operation. The operation was the end of February, beginning of November. I did the Hertfordshire half marathon. My kids turned up to support me. This is generally the sign that Phoebe brought along to cheer me on. There you go. Go, Richard. And I guess I just wanted to. I didn't want to do my personal best. I used to run quite a lot. I was hoping to do it under 2 hours, which I thought was pretty good. In the same year I'd had cancer. I did it in 1 hour 55 minutes. Very pleased. 1 second. Very pleased with that. I was 35th out of 75 in my category. My category is one bald men. I came in at least in the top 2 of that. If you're interested, those are my split times. That's pretty good. A bit annoying about killing me to 18. But apart from that. It was all good, it was great to do that, great, I raised money for the hospital, that was all a really positive thing to do, and I have to say most of this was positive, right, this experience has been a really positive one, I think in terms of understanding what's important in life, just appreciating being alive, right, I think it's easy to forget that being alive is a wonderful thing, and sometimes it takes feeling like you're going to die to appreciate that, but look, I got through this, as I say, with humour, and that worked for the first year, but it became more difficult as time went on to cope with it. There was trauma involved in this, right? Your body trying to attack you and kill you, the fear of cancer coming back. Anyone who's had something like this will know it doesn't ever quite leave you. So you can be as jolly as you want and happy as you want, but it is quite a scary prospect. And I wanted to try and confront that trauma, and I didn't know the best way to do it. But I've been doing this puppet show. I thought, is there something in that? I've got this guy in York called Richard Ison who just started sending me, I didn't know, he started sending me these amazing ventriloquist dummies, okay? He liked the show, he just wanted to join in. He didn't want to meet, he didn't want to print out. They look absolutely incredible. It's nice to be not the most reprehensible person in the picture, isn't it? So I had to email this guy that I didn't know and say, would you be prepared to make a puppet of my cancerous testicle for me? And Richard was happy to do it. It turned out he was more than delighted to do it. So I'm going to introduce you to... I'm such a klutz. It's because I've got one ball. It's difficult to... I'm basically disabled. This I'm giving me a badge. But we're going to meet my little friend now, see if that can help us process what's going on. So while I'm going to get him, you can watch this video.
He created life, but is the harbinger of death. His heart is made of cancer, he's got very spermy breath. Didn't honor the ball service, so now he's up and left, the pair are left. He's left the breath. He's vitriolic
and a hyperbolic.
He's carbonic
and a symbolic bolic.
He's diabolic.
And the right bolic. Do you think this is a healthy way to process this? right bollock. Stop me.
Oh, hold on.
You haven't been grabbed by a bollock, have you? Don't. Sorry, I'm glory man. Can you taste the burn? I can. It's not appropriate at all. Where the fuck are we tonight? We're in Stockton on Teams. Oh my God, I thought Doncaster was having enough. I know. You haven't even sold out. I want to know, it's a difficult town. Take that on. A lot of similar audience, maybe. You used to be on the telly, didn't you? Yeah, I did, but you know, it's going all right. Things are going all right. It's okay. I'm a right bollock. No, I am a right. You want to get bigger? I'm literally a right bollock. Yeah, I think they got that. So, can I first ask, why are you talking in a northern accent? It's very offensive to you. Because I'm from Yorkshire, and like you, I was born in Yorkshire. I remain loyal to where I'm from. You tried to give me cancer. I'm still loyal. So not like you southern punks with your punks. You can't talk like that. It's the 1900s. No, it's still. I've been in Stockton too long. The 21st century. Really nice. So I've still got my accent, unlike you. Now then, don't do that. Not appropriate. So, I knew they'd take my hand off. They took my hand. They'll give me a false hand. Didn't even tell me. Look. I want to try to get to the bottom of why do you do this? Why did you try to kill me? Because I'm a right bollock. Yeah, I know, but why would you try? Because I hate you, that's why. You were always obsessed with the penis, talking cock, look at my cock, oh, that's cock. Never your balls. And so then your balls coming for you, and I decided to kill you in revenge. We had so much fun together though. Why are you concentrating on like one thing like that? It's not important. Like think of all the people I got to lick you. It's incredible how many unattractive you. Well, I was very much just in the pathway between the two places you wanted to be licked. I was just. I've no idea what that means. You didn't care about me, that's all I'm saying. Well, I did care about you, and look, you and I together, we've had 2 children. I did the sarcastic one, she's mine, not the other one. I didn't know about my son, he's very like me. That's exactly my point, he is just like you, he's a prick. He's a I'm a right bollock, you are a right bollock, that's an awful thing. Look, but by killing me, you would die as well. That's a risk I was prepared to take. That's how bad you guys only have to spend 90 minutes in this fucker. 53 years, it was a life sentence. It was worth dying. As it's happened, I survived. And I've grown bigger and bigger. And now I'm going to go solo. You're going to go solo, are you? Yes! I'd like to see that. If you're more successful on your own as well, I'm going to be really proud. I'll be on 8 out of 10 cats before you know it. I think you probably will, actually. I think you have a good chance of that. You know, you're not really a comedian anymore, are you? You just do taskmaster and stuff. You're more of a celebrity now, really. What are you talking about? I'm doing comedy right now. Oh, is that what this is? I was expecting to hear some laughter if that was the... Quite a few people walked out, didn't they, in the first half? I didn't notice any of that. I noticed. I'd say you're as funny as cancer, but you're not as funny as me, so, you know, the show's not going all that well. I think it's, you know, given where we are, I think it's going... It's going fine. It's horrible. Why are you being so critical? We went through so much together. When we had pleasure, we shared it together. When we had pain, if someone kicked you, I felt the pain as well. That time in Barbados when we got knocked over that wave and you swelled up to 3 times your size. When we got on the plane, it was like we could do how high we were by how much it hurts. I was there with you. And I tended to you. I don't remember any of that, Richard. All I remember is you treating me badly. I've met people like you. I'm sure we all have. I've worked with people like you, I have to say. All you do is you remember the slights, the perceived slights. There are often things that aren't the case. You don't remember any of the good things. You don't be thankful for any of the good things. You're self-centred. You're a right self-centred bollock. You're a proper C word. That's very nice of you, I know. And, you know, I don't think there's anything you can do. There's no point in trying to communicate with someone like that. If you've got someone that's like this in your life, there's no point trying to talk to them. It's not your fault they've behaved this badly. It's your fault. You're the cancerous one. And if you've got someone that's toxic in this life, all you can do is cut them off. I'm glad I cut you off. You're a prick. Oh, fuck you. I'm 56 years old. I think that was good. That was a good thing to do. It's getting better, it's getting better. So yeah, look, I think, as I say, like, there's some negatives. There's one obvious negative to having some part of your body removed, but I've got through this in 2 pieces, and I think the positives are much more. I'm alive, I appreciate my family, I get more time with my kids, which is fantastic. Having had this, because I'm a comedian, you know, it's a weird thing. It's turned out being a great way to get 3 years of work, at least maybe 4 years of work out. There's a positive to that. I can turn this into money. If someone said to you, I'll give you 100 grand, but you've got to give me one of your testicles, what do you think you'd do?
Go on then.
Yeah, you go for it. There speaks a man with a thick scrotum, I can tell you that. Man confident in the scrotum strength. And look, it's also great because I get to spread the word about this. Like, it is sort of weird that's happened to me. This is very much in my ballpark, so to speak. And this is something I was talking about before, but, you know, I will always try to encourage guys to talk about this stuff. But through doing this show, I can also say, look, go out and look after yourself, test yourself, you know, just every month or so, just have a little feel. If you look in the program, if you go to the Movember website, you can find out how to do that, how to examine yourself. If you notice any difference at all, don't be like me, go straight to the GP. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Oh, no, the GP might see my weird genitals, he'll be embarrassed. It's not as embarrassing as your children having to come to your funeral. So think about it in that way. It's not, but they won't care. If you turn up and you've just got a Rice Krispie stuck to your scrotum, they're not going to laugh at you. They're not going to laugh. They're not going to laugh at you until you're out of the room. And then they're So look, it's much better to go in and do this stuff. Because I've done this show and because I've done a bit of telly, I've already known like 6 men have recognised their symptoms. And what I'm talking about, gone to the doctors, found out they've got testicular cancer and had it sorted out, which is incredible. I mean, it's weird to be pleased about the idea of 6 men being semi-castrated, but I think I should get to wear their balls as hopefully by the end of the tour I'll be weighed down. That's just bollocks. But like, everyone should be tested, everyone should be looking after themselves, like girls as well, ladies as well, obviously your sensitive bits. If you're in a partnership, you can check each other out, make it a bit of fun, and just look out for differences. But men are much worse at going in. I'm still bad at going in. And in fact, like a year after the first thing happened, I noticed, I was checking myself, and I noticed a lump on the other testicle, which obviously was devastating, right? I thought it was a P-shaped lump, that's what you're looking for. I thought, 1 in 20 chance it's come back, this is absolutely the worst luck. And again, I didn't go straight to the doctors, I waited a bit, I was just so convinced it was bad news, absolutely crazy, that's the way men's mentality works. Finally I went in, and they sent me in for another scan. Again, they were fantastic. And it was great, actually, to experience the other side of this, because the first time I'd gone in, obviously, got bad news. I went in, it was a guy doing it, he was able to go straight away. I want to tell you, this isn't cancer, this is just a cyst, you're going to be fine. And the relief was obviously so immense. It was just, and it was nice to see the other side of that job. You get to tell people bad news, but sometimes you get to tell people good news. And you know, it was just a fantastic moment. I'd say it's the happiest moment of my life. Don't tell my wife I said that. But it was good to know. But you know, I kept checking on that, this cyst. It seemed to disappear. And so I thought that was fine. It's absolutely harmless, as most of these things will be. So don't be fearful. Go in and get them checked. They nearly all will turn out to be nothing at all. But about just before Christmas, Katie was touching me down there. She does occasionally. And she said, it feels like you've got 2 balls again. I said, don't be stupid. But I had noticed there was sort of like a little ridge or something. Something was going on. So I thought, I can't bother the NHS, I've been in a few times. So I went and had a private scan. I'm going to show you now, I have to warn the ladies in the audience, I know how sexually excited you are by testicles and how much they turn you on. I'm about to show you a scan of my testicle. It's just the inside, so hopefully we'll be okay. but just prepare yourself. So this is the scan. And when you apply one, they put it up on the screen for you. So that on the right is my left testicle. It's absolutely fine and healthy. And I assume this black mass there, that was the absence of my right testicle. The guy said, no, that's the cyst. That cyst has grown. That's the cyst has grown. My left testicle has basically grown its own testicle. It was feeling lovely. Got another one. My friend who asked, how long does it take to grow back? 3 years. Is that how long it takes to grow back? I just think it's absolutely harmless. It's just full of liquid. You can have an operation, but they said it might be more dangerous to take it out at the moment than it is to leave it in, so we're just going to leave it. I mean, thank God I didn't get a prosthetic put in as well. Imagine what bring in there would be. I just find it hilarious that my testicle has come on. I wasn't getting enough attention. It's sort of like tragedy repeated as comedy. It's exactly the same thing. I've got this massive fucking bollock again, but this time it's just a comedy one, so it's absolutely ridiculous. So I do feel like someone's playing a prank on me somewhere along the line, but of course I have to thank the NHS for everything they've done for me, right? I'm a cancer survivor, I can claim that. I don't feel like I've had cancer at all. I feel like a fraud for saying that. And, you know, I didn't battle cancer. It was nothing to do with me. If you've got cancer, sure, stay positive. Don't let it get you down. Try and make jokes and get through it that way if that helps you. But you're not battling cancer. You're the battleground. You're the battlefield. And the NHS are doing the fighting. And they saved my life. And I have to thank them for that. Given the time they were doing this, the cheeriness, everything else they were going through, and still seeing me so quickly, absolutely blown away. And they have meant that I will live long enough that my death will be a proper psychological trauma to my children. They're going to remember me and it's going to fucking hurt them. So I'm happy now. They're probably going to be so screwed up they'll have to become comedians. And they can't even do a Dead Dad show because it's hack. It's hack. And I don't feel like I'm less of a man. I don't know what being a man is, but I think this experience has made me more of a better human, I think. And, you know, I think maybe being a man is not pretending your vulnerabilities are strengths and being honest about yourself. And I think if that's the case, I'm more of a man, but I don't feel like I'm half a man. I don't feel any different than I did before. And it really genuinely is great to be here for my kids, to see my kids grow up. Phoebe's like 9 now, going on 15. And I think, you know, there's still occasions where we have difficult moments, but maybe things are going better. This is a more recent picture she's done of me. The lava's no longer there. I mean, she hasn't been on my shoulders for a long time, and I've never worn a tie with her. I'm not sure that's me. I think that might be who she's hoping the next star will be. Hand down, there's some cowboy boots at the bottom of that, but you'll see some more pictures she's done as the show ends, and you can decide how our relationship goes. We still communicate through humour, and look, I know things are going to go up and down. It's a little kite journey, isn't it, this life, and sometimes we'll be flying and sometimes it'll be crashing to the ground, but I'm just glad that I'm here to experience. I asked her, I said, you said I only had 14 months to live, what happened there? She said, oh yeah, that wasn't right, this was a month ago. She said, you've got 12 months to live. Wasn't quite as scary. It wasn't specific enough. 12 months sounds like it's made up, so I'm not too scared. So look, remember to check yourselves out, everyone. Do look after yourselves. Don't be an idiot. Talk about it if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to as well, of course. And don't be scared. Enjoy your life. Being alive is fantastic. Please give some money to November if you feel like doing so. Please download the programme, and I'll see you outside in a minute. Thanks so much for having me.